Hi everyone, today we are going to be canning ground beef, but before we can the ground beef, we have beef liver that we got from our half a cow that we are going to show you how to grind, mix with the ground beef, and then can it. Okay, so first thing what we're going to do is we are going to cut these into pieces that Vinny already did for me very nicely. We are going to put it into this grinder. It's going to grind it up. We're going to do it on the largest setting, as you can see here, and then we are going to put it through this smaller setting so it's more ground up, obviously, and we can migrate it in with the ground meat. The reason why I'm doing this is beef liver is very high in iron and copper, B12. There's so many amazing properties. So if you're struggling with an iron deficiency, I would definitely look into beef liver. Is ground up, we are going to go put it through the next smaller portion. Vinny first has to take apart the collar that's on the end. All right, so this is what our beef liver currently looks like. So we're gonna put it through the grinder one more time and then next step. So we are going to open up all this ground meat and we're going to put it in this bowl. Okay, and last one, and I'm doing 6 pounds of ground meat. Each one of these packages are packaged as 1 pound, just to make it easy for us. That's how the farmer did it, because this is all from Broadrun Farms. Okay, so now I'm going to kind of mush this together. I'm going to mush this together. And then I'm going to start adding the beef liver. I will say that if you add too much beef liver, you're definitely going to be able to tell because it definitely has a taste to it. Unlike ground meat, but I'm not worried about it because I know it has so many other healthy benefits to it. So I'm going to add some of this in. Some people do 10 to 20%. They just really don't like the taste, but I'm just going to slowly mix it in. See how it looks. Okay, I'm going to add some more. Or just the rest of it. Okay, so that's pretty well mixed. So now we are going to put this in a cast iron pan and cook it until it's lightly brown. Okay, everyone, so now we are going to cook the ground meat. We are going to cook it until it's a lighter brown. As you can see back here, I have 2 bowls. I decided to get another 6 pounds of ground meat out of the freezer and beef thaw it to cook with this, because this one's going to be cooked ground meat and this one's going to be sloppy Joe. So first we're going to put this over here. We're going to heat up our cast iron so it's going to be a nice hot temperature before we put the beef on there. Okay, so now we're going to dump some of this ground meat and liver mixture in here. We don't want to overfill the skillet too much, so I'm just going to put it a little bit at a time. All right, so that should be good for now. And we are going to put the lid on just to help it cook a little faster for us. And we're going to wait a few minutes. Okay, so you can start to hear it cook a little bit. Start stirring it around. And we just want to lightly brown it. We don't need to full on cook it down. Just lightly brown the meat. At this point, I would get another bowl so we can put our cooked meat in. And then that way we have the bowl ready for canning. Okay, put the lid back on. And typically, as I'm waiting for this to cook, I'm going to be washing all my jars and making sure they're nice and clean and ready to be canned. Okay, let's go ahead and check it. Oh yeah. And the reason why we're cooking this is because if we put this in raw, it would all clump together like a big ball of ground meat. So this makes it so it can actually be, you know, like cooked like ground meat would be cooked instead of like a meatloaf. And if you want it to look like a meatloaf, that's completely up to you. But for me, I want it to be crumbly like ground meat. Okay, we're getting close. Just a few more minutes and we should be done. Okay, so let's go ahead and check it again. Okay, I think we're ready. Okay, so I'm gonna scoop it in here. I'm not even gonna try to attempt to. Okay, so now I'm gonna put this back on the burner and we're gonna cook the next round of ground meat over here. So I got the next round of ground meat on here, so we're gonna let that cook as we're gonna fill up the canning jar. Okay, we're gonna put the ground meat in here. And we'll check our inch of headspace. So we're a little bit above 1, but we still have to pour this with hot water. I'm actually going to use broth that I have going already. I'll bring that over once everything else is all cooked and in here. Okay, so now our beef broth is... Okay, time to bring this over here. Going to fill up the next thing. Remember, we're leaving an inch of headspace. So for your filling liquid, you can either do water, beef broth, or tomato juice, is what the recipe says on the National Canning Society. So I'm gonna do mine with some of that beef broth that I have cooking back there, because just to add extra flavor, and yeah, it never hurts. Okay, so next we are going to fill this with beef broth, because that's a liquid I wanted to fill it with. You can fill it with whatever you want. You can tell there's a lot of fat in this beef broth, so I might do some with water too, just because I don't want all the fat in it. Okay, so next we are going to debubble. Okay, next we are going to wipe all the rims. Remember, just fingertip tight, and it's ready for the canner now. Okay, so as I said before, I have an All-American pressure canner. So I will fill this up 2 to 3 inches of water. And if you have the Presto canner, that's a whole different set of instructions. So this is just for the All-American canner. Okay, we're bringing this canner over here. And we want to make sure that this little notch is in the front. We're going to load the jars in. I only have 5 jars right here, but mine can fit up to 7 quarts. Next, we're going to put olive oil on the rim. And then we're going to put the lid on. It's good to check your lid to make sure all your vent holes are clear. Put it on, lock it up. All right, so we're good to go. We're going to turn this on high. And then we're going to start working on our Sloppy Joe recipe. Okay, for the Sloppy Joe recipe, we're going to pour all the meat in here. And we want this meat to be brown. So we're going to turn on, put on the lid, turn on here. Put it on high, and we're going to occasionally stir it until it's a light brown. Okay, now looking at the ground beef, we are going to stir it. Okay, for this next recipe, we need a pint of ketchup. I'm using my homemade ketchup that I made. We need a pint of tomato sauce. I'm just going to use this quart that we have. We need a cup and a half of peppers. I have them right here that I already used in the freezer over the summer. And then we need 3 cups of onions. Okay, so let's get started. Let's measure these out. And this is the bowl I'm putting just to put everything in there. Okay, that's 1. Okay, and then a half. And I would not add any more onions or peppers because that will increase the acidity of the recipe. And we don't want to mess with that at all. So next is cutting up these onions. You can go whatever size you want. I like mine kind of chunky. So I like to see them in my sloppy dough. Everyone's different. If you want to mince them, go for it. Because that will not change the acidity. Okay, so I'm calling that a cup. Right, there's another cup, 2. I'm definitely going to have to get more onions from downstairs. And this one looks like it might be a little bad too, it's hard to tell. Okay. Okay, I got my other 2 onions, but as you can hear the pressure cooker, the steam coming out. So we're gonna set our timer to 10 minutes. And then we're gonna proceed with our onions. All right, that's our 3, so we're gonna dump it in here. I'm gonna move this out of the way so we don't have all these dishes everywhere. As you can see, we are getting really close to this. So we're gonna start adding the rest of the ingredients to our bowl, and then we should be ready to dump our ingredients in. Okay, so I cleaned up everything a little bit, got our jars, lids, and bands. I'm gonna open up our ketchup and put it in here. So this is a lid lifter that I got from 5 Acres Homestead. She's awesome. She actually hand makes these. Pretty incredible. So I'm gonna dump my ketchup in here. And then our tomato puree. Okay. And we're gonna wait for our meat to finish browning, and then we're gonna put it in there. And that's about to be done soon, so we're gonna switch over to there. Okay, our timer just went off, so we are going to put the 10-pound weight on because I live 1,000 feet in the elevation. So you need to go to National Canning Society website and see what elevation you are, and it will tell you what weight you need to put on. So if you're above 1,000, you're going to need the 15-pound weight, and it has a different processing time. So for me, I'm under 1,000, so I'm going to put the 10-pound weight on. And once it starts jiggling, we will set our timer for 90 minutes. Okay, so it already started jiggling. So I'm going to set our timer for 90 minutes. And I'm going to turn it on like a medium high. And you see how this is constantly jiggling? Well, that means that it is over pressurized. And you can even tell right here, it's above the 10-pound weight. So that's telling me it's over pressurized. So we're going to make it like a medium high because we want this to jiggle 1 to 4 times a minute. And it takes it a while to cool down, so we're going to switch over to the Sloppy Joes. So as you can see, the Sloppy Joes are now a light brown, and they are cooked all the way through. So we are going to put our mixture in. And if you don't have that much tomato sauce in yours, you can add a pint worth of tomato sauce and then 2 cups of water. So, okay, so everything's in here. I'm going to show you right here. Okay, so now we're going to stir this really good, and we want it to bring to a boil. It already smells really good already. Okay, and we want to leave the lid off, bring to a boil, so I'm going to increase this a little bit, and then let it go. Okay, so it's slowly starting to simmer, but we want it to be a full-on boil, so then we can simmer it for 5 minutes after that. So it's not quite a full boil yet. I'm going to keep stirring it though because we don't want the meat to get stuck at the bottom. Okay, so it's boiling. We're going to give this a good stir. Okay, so it's full on boiling now. I'm going to stir this up, and we are going to let it simmer without a cover for 5 minutes. Okay, so now the 5 minutes is over. I'm going to turn this off, and we are going to start filling up our jars now. I'm going to stir this so I don't burn myself because, yep, that's my life. Okay, so let's start filling these up. I'm not going to use this spoon because it's just not going to work very well. I'm going to use my ladle, and we are going to fill these up with 1 inch of headspace. All right, so I'm going to debubble these, and I'm gonna have to clean more jars because I really didn't think that this was gonna fill everything up, so, which is a happy surprise. So I'm just debubbling these. I'm gonna check the headspace because this is a little different because we have the thickness of the sloppy joe, but we still have that liquid. So I would like to have a nice liquid line. That one looks good. Good. This one needs a little bit more. Good. Good. Awesome. Okay. So I'm going to go clean some more jars. Okay. So I only did 2 more because this is 7 quarts, and that's all my pressure can fit, and I really don't want to add another one and have to do a whole nother session of pressure canning because it's already not late in the day, but later. So we'll probably be having sloppy joes for dinner. Okay, so this one has way too much in it, so I'm going to transfer it over to this other one. Put that over there. And I'm actually going to add a little bit of water because this still hasn't reached its headspace, and I just want to make sure that it is at the right headspace. All these, this is all slimy from the other ones. Oh. And don't worry, I completely clean my counter every time I go to do a new thing, so I'm not worried about germs or anything like that. Okay, okay. All right, so we're good there. Just use this organic distilled white vinegar. Works great. And this recipe I got off of healthycanning.com. It is so it's not on the National Canning Society. It might be in the ball book, I don't know, but it was tested by the Wisconsin University. They approved it as a tested recipe. So don't get worried if you don't see it on the National Canning thing, but it was tested, and you can look up her recipe and she has all the information about it. If you want step by step, I will link it in the description when I post this video. Okay, so those are pretty good. You always want to make sure you have nice clean rims. So let's put the seals on. Okay, I'm missing one, so I gotta go get more of those. There's that one, and just finger tight. I don't know what happened to this other one. Okay, I'll be right back. All right, my last lid. Remember, fingertip tight. I probably use it for fermenting something and it got all weird. All right, so here you go. Sloppy Joe in a jar. And that's nice, 7 meals right here. So we're still waiting for the pressure can to finish up. We have about 46 minutes, so I'm just gonna leave these here, clean up a little bit, and wait for that to cool down, okay? Okay, so the timer is up, so we are going to turn this heat off, clear our timer, wait for the pressure can to cool down. It usually takes 30 minutes. Okay, it's down at 0. We're gonna take the weight off, set our timer for 2 minutes. Okay, timer's up. Time to take the lid off. Nice, yummy ground beef. Okay, so next, this is gonna cool down for 24 hours. We will take the bands off, clean everything up, and that'll be good.